remember one time this girl was like, yeah, my sister, one time she stole my car. Another time she actually slept with my boyfriend. And I was like, man, girl, well, I'm an only child, so I can't relate. Hi guys, my name is Taryn. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first video you're seeing of mine, I normally do fashion, lifestyle, all those, you know, those little creative things, but there are going to be a little random things here and there. But today I want to talk about how being an only child affected me, or, you know, basically what it was like growing up as an only child. You know, because we are definitely a different breed. Not in a bad way at all, but we are definitely a different breed compared to someone who has siblings, or even just like one sibling. So let's get into it. So first, I want to talk about the spoiled stereotype of only children, because that's automatically what everyone assumes. As soon as the word only child comes out of my mouth, everyone's like, ding, 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 spoiled, spoiled, spoiled. And you know, I mean, I guess that might be the case, but there's a negative atmosphere around the word spoiled. So I mean, I guess you could call it spoiled, but I mean, it's not our fault that our parents only had to focus on us. And if you think about it, I mean, really, we were saving our parents money. Like, you know, they didn't have all these other kids to pay for, all these other kids to pay attention to. So I mean, it's not our fault if, you know, if we got all the attention. And just for me personally, I can't really talk for other only children, but for me personally, I mean, I guess you could say I was spoiled, but I mean, my parents paid attention to me because I was the only one. And on that note, I am very grateful for all the things my parents have done for me and what they still do. So that's the difference between me and someone who is actually spoiled. So that right there, yeah. But I mean, hey, if people want to call me spoiled, go ahead. I will take it, but I'm gonna turn it around and make it a positive. And another thing, you know, there's kids out there who actually have siblings who are spoiled too. How about that? Second thing I want to say is a lot of only children grow up sensitive. It really kind of depends on how you grew up. Like if you had a single parent household or two parents in the household and, you know, all these other elements going on. But for the most part, in my experience, and other only children I've talked to, we grew up sensitive because I wouldn't say we were catered to, but it's like, okay, if we wanted something or felt some type of way about something, we got the attention for it. You know, we didn't have these siblings where we had to fight for the bathroom or fight over toys and all this conflict and stuff. So, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like I grew up sensitive. I grew up sensitive a little bit, like, hey, you know, I want my way, I want this, I want that, you know, or, if someone, I don't know, said they didn't like something of mine, I mean, yeah, I was a little sensitive about it. I'm not gonna lie, you know, because we didn't grow up with that conflict. We didn't grow up with, you know, being teased by our siblings or being pushed around. Like a girl who maybe has, I don't know, like 2 or 3 brothers, you know. I know someone who has 3 brothers and they kind of toughened her up, you know, so it's like, but I'm pretty sure even if they were sisters, they probably would have toughened her up too. But my point is, we didn't grow up with that conflict, that extra little, you know, aspect of conflict in the household. So I mean, we were catered to a little bit more, you know, and that's kind of what it is. I'm definitely not as sensitive as I was when I was younger. Definitely not, especially as a Black woman. Life was like, nope, we knocking that sensitivity right out of you. Growing up with that sensitivity, I was also a very quiet child. And so being a quiet child, or like just a quiet person overall, that really made people take my kindness for weakness. And I wouldn't say like necessarily pick on me, but people thought I was kind of weird. Like I had friends, but some people thought I was weird. Like, oh, why doesn't she talk? Why does she do this? Why does she do that? With some only children, you know, where sometimes we grew up quiet, like, and we're okay with that peace. We're okay with that silence. You know, some people thought I was weird, or, you know, because I didn't talk much and this and that. But people take your kindness for weakness and think you can say anything to me or say anything, do anything to me, and I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to do this. Just a little side note, I went to a Christian school, and just to let you know, whether it's Christian, public, whatever, any type of school, there are always going to be mean girls. Anyway, there was this particular group of mean girls, and I was friends with them. But it's crazy because one of them said I had said something about the other one, and she came up to me talking about, oh, you said this about me, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to talk to you the rest of the year, blah, blah, blah. And to really be at that age, I was like 9 or 10, to really be at that age and just was like, okay, well, whatever. I'm telling you, I stuck to myself the rest of that school year. So it didn't bother me. And to me, to be able to do that at such a young age and like be okay with it, it was fine. And then plus, you know, telling my mom this, she would just be like, they're jealous of you, Taryn. Like, they're jealous of you. And like, that really stuck with me. Cause I was like, cause really, I'm like, I'm dope. Like, I've been knew I was dope, like, since I was younger. So it really was like, okay, if you don't want to talk to me, if you want to lie on me, okay, whatever. I'm not with that. I'm not with that drama. I'm not with this. I am my best friend. So your loss. And third one I want to talk about, I did already kind of mention this, is avoiding conflict. As an only child, like I said, you don't really have to deal with much conflict. It really, like I said, it depends on your household and things like that. But I grew up in a 2-parent household, you know, in the suburbs. So it's like, I didn't have to deal with conflict. And so when it did happen, I would avoid it. Like, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I wanted to keep my peace. I wanted to be over here chilling, you know, in serenity. And, you know, that could kind of be, I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. Cause I mean, obviously as you grow up, you realize you do have to deal with conflict as an adult, which I realized, of course, but growing up, we did not have to deal with, you know, any kind of issues with siblings or any kind of, and I was a good kid in school. I didn't get in fights or anything. I didn't get involved in anything, like anything bad with anybody. If anyone had a problem with me, they were the problem. And that's still the case till today. But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, we want to keep our peace. And so that's just like a huge part of who we are. Like, we're chill. We're chill. We don't attract drama. But I mean, if conflict comes, which life does produce conflict, then I mean, we'll deal with it. But other than that, we're not going to produce it. We're not going to put it out there. Another thing that I might have to deal with, you know, loving our peace too, is because I'm also a Libra. So we're very well balanced, chill type of people. Like, we don't like conflict either. So that's another thing. A fifth thing most only children do not like to do is sharing. I don't mind sharing things, you know, like little things here and there. I think it really just comes down to when it comes to living with people. Like, I grew up with my own bathroom. I grew up with my own room. I grew up with my own everything. Like, I didn't have to share anything. So really, it has a lot to do with I think it just has a lot to do with living situations. Other than that, like food, I don't mind sharing food, you know, as long as you ask me, like, or if I, you know, offer it to you. I don't need you, because I've had people, I don't need you over here reaching over onto my plate. Like, no, that's enough. That's enough. Don't no real reaching for Taryn's food. I grew up with my own bathroom. I grew up with my own room, my own space, my own everything. That might be my downfall when it comes to like maybe dating, moving in with someone. I'm like, like I'm saying, I gotta really love your energy. So that, for me to want to be around you 24/7. But that's another story. Another huge one is, I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to this one, but specifically only children, just because we're the only ones. So I feel like sometimes we may put some pressure on ourselves because we're the only offspring of our parents. It's not like, oh, we have a sister or brother who went off and was this overachiever, blah, blah, blah. But like, all the pressure is on us. All the pressure is on us. Like, and I'm not gonna lie, like at one point in my life, I really felt that pressure. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I really have to make my parents proud. I gotta do something. I really just have to make them proud, you know, because I'm the only one. I'm the only offspring. I need to like make it worth their while. Not saying obviously I'm not worthy. Like I'm not saying that. Like, I know my worth. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just a lot of pressure being the only one. And you know, maybe not all only children think like that, but I think only certain ones think that way. Like, damn, like I'm the only one. Like, I need to show up and show out, you know? I need to make my parents proud. So at one point in my life, yeah, I was like really heavy on that. I'm not gonna say not so much anymore. Like, it's toned down a little bit. Like, I definitely still want to make my parents proud, but it's not because I'm an only child. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like in general. I want to make myself proud. I want to make my parents proud. It's really just a thing in general. And they've told me many times they're proud of me. So, you know, I believe it. I really do believe it. But of course, I'm always trying to strive for more. You know, not even just for them, but for myself. Another thing is, sometimes there's reasons why only children are only children. And they know what those reasons are. I know it sounds a little weird. It could have been something as simple as, you know, and then there could be no reason at all. People could, you know, just say, oh, well, you know, we just never ended up having any other kids. Or some parents might say, oh, we only wanted one. Or, you know, it really depends. You know, personally, I mean, I know how and why I ended up being an only child. I mean, it's a little too personal, which, I mean, in most cases, I know a lot, it probably is personal for a lot of only children. But yeah, that's another thing too. Most of us have a reason as to why we may be only children. Another thing I want to talk about is my experience with, or realizing the comparison from my household to my friend's household growing up who had siblings. So, you know, obviously growing up in my house, it was a lot more quiet, but going to friends' house who actually had siblings and things like that, it was like a whole experience. You just see all these people in the house that you're just not used to, and it's like, wow, like other people live like this, you know, got all these people in the house, and wow, they get to do all this stuff. And so yeah, I mean, I was always happy to go over other friends' houses because yeah, they had like this big sister who had all these cool stuff, all these cool clothes, all this makeup and stuff. And I don't know, I went to a friend's house who might have a cute brother or something like that. But still, my point is, you know, I went to my friends' houses and you see like the way they live, and you know, they have all these people in the house, all these people to talk to, maybe all these like family traditions they do, I don't know, playing games, or it's basically all these little elements that you probably don't have in your household, and you're like, wow. So that's like one thing I noticed growing up too. I was really, I was always happy to go over to a friend's house. And then also, just to touch on that too, you know, growing up, us only children, we learn to make friends. Like, so, I mean, yeah, of course, we were used to being alone. We're okay with being alone. But at the same time, you know, it kind of gave us, more control on who we have in our life and who we don't have on our life. You know what I mean? Make our own kind of family in a sense. And still speaking on family, technically, I actually do have stepbrothers, but I didn't grow up with them. Like, I literally, my dad remarried, 5-6 years ago? And I was like well into my 20s. Didn't grow up with them. And you know what? It's weird because maybe 2 or 3 years after he got remarried, I was like, oh shit, I have stepbrothers. Which means I got step nieces too. Like, technically, I'm like a step auntie. But anyway, yeah, I mean, technically, I have stepbrothers, but like I said, I was a whole full-grown adult when that happened. So it's not even relevant at this point. Just thought I'd say that. I'm still an only child. And still speaking on family, growing up as being an only child, I know obviously there's kind of like a 50-50 chance that you want kids or you don't want kids. You know, on one side, only children, they, you know, some might like the peace so much and are so used to being alone that they don't want all that chaos. They don't want to, you know, have all these extra people in their house. Like, they're okay with not having children, which is fine. And there's another aspect where only children is like, you know, oh, I wanted, you know, what I didn't have. I want to have a child, plus I want my child to have those siblings to play with, siblings to have their back, siblings to grow up with and, you know, build with and things like that. So it really kind of depends. So they can really go either way. Personally, with me, I would love to have children. And when I say children, obviously more than one, because yeah, for that second reason, you know, I didn't grow up with that. And so if I do have a child, I definitely want to have another one so that they can have what I didn't have. Plus, it's also for me too to have a sense of a somewhat bigger family, you know, that I created, a foundation I created, of course. So yeah, they can definitely go either way. Another thing I want to mention is we have set preferences. Like, we have certain ways that we do things, you know, and I'm telling you, when it's usually always you, you just get used to having things a certain way, you know, having your set preferences on things. So I guess that could be a little spoiled in a way, I guess, but still, I still think that's not a bad thing. We just have our set preferences. It's not to say we're not open to other things, but we just like to have certain things in a certain way. And I kind of might, off the top of my head, I'm just kind of thinking, I don't know, maybe something is set up in our house or this and that, and when you come bringing other people in, like your partner or husband or whatever, yeah, it's just, you know. But I know that could probably be a trait for people who aren't only children too. So like I said, so it really depends. And that can also just apply to people who are just used to living alone too. You don't necessarily have to be only children, but you know, people who are used to living alone, or people who are used to making their own decisions and on their own, things like that. And one last thing I want to talk about is how people look so amazed when you tell them you're only child. I swear, they look like they're about to fall off their chair. But no, I love people's reaction every single time. Of course, you know, like I was talking about the spoiled thing, that always comes out. That's the first word out of everyone's mouth, is being spoiled. First, it's just they're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, we exist. We still exist. Yes. We are a different breed, but we are normal. We are normal. Some of us, you know, less normal than others, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it's just seeing people's face and seeing their reactions. It's the fact that I'm an only child. I apologize if you hear the plane flying around. But anyway, that concludes my video on how being an only child affected me, or what it was growing up as an only child. If you liked it, please make sure to subscribe, like, or comment. And if you are an only child or know anyone who's an only child, feel free to, you know, comment below if you can relate on anything I touched on, and even if anything I missed. Thank you for watching my channel, and I'll see you later.